Hi there. Today I want to cover Netzach, the seventh Sephirot, to which I have attributed the affirmation enjoy. And but this needs to be sort of analysed a little bit. It's not just sort of take it away and enjoy, man. Like some people might say to you, you buy something and they say in the letter of congratulating on having bought their product, they say enjoy at the end. Not really caring if you do enjoy it or not. But if you do enjoy it, of course, you'll probably come back and buy more, which is always good for business. So enjoy. Okay. Um, Now, there is a certain, of course, philosophy attached to enjoy. This is from one of the sayings, the great sayings of the Mahanavana Tantra. I will not hurt my body with austerities. And so there's a rejection in Tantra of austerity and and denial and abstinence, except where the abstinence is like taking a break from a certain activity, sort of with the purpose of recharging your batteries. So that would be the only reason that you would abstain. Would be to kind of enjoy more of your indulgence later. You're just recharging yourself, pacing yourself, kind of thing. So the general advice is, well, the observation is Bhukti and Mukhti. Mukhti is pleasure and Bhukti is liberation. So these, liberation, enjoyment, and the laughing Buddha, symbolized by the laughing Buddha, go together. So there's a very intense philosophy attached to the idea of enjoyment, rather than being miserable, and denying yourself things. And a very, very good film to watch in connection with this is a film called Chocolate, or Chocolat, which is all about enjoyment, and hypocrisy and love and altruism and goodness, winning over in a box of chocolates. Because it isn't really the chocolates themselves, it's what they represent that's important, the symbolism behind chocolate. Great film to watch in this connection. So, of course, there's a big philosophy underlying the affirmation enjoy. Now, of course, when you analyze enjoyment, of course, there's the moment, which is a present enjoyment. You have to enjoy each moment as it is, passing you by, which is very, very useful, very good advice. Existence is but one moment passing one after the other, in the lower worlds anyway, in the finite worlds of the demiurge, and you have to learn to enjoy each moment as it passes. And then, of course, there's the enjoyment of pleasant memories and, focusing your mind on pleasant things that have happened to you in life. And then, of course, there's the thing about anticipation, which is anticipating a future enjoyable activity. And very often, anticipation is more powerful than the enjoyable activity itself, especially in sexual enjoyment. So anticipation, not exactly innuendo, but symbolism and a sort of a kind of a mystery, and of course mysteries are enjoyment, are a source of enjoyment as well. And the mystery of the spiritual life, the mystery of God itself is enjoying, enjoyable. Which is, I don't know if that's anticipating the future or the past or the present, all of it's wrapped up in one package, I guess. Really, the eternal isness of enjoying the spiritual mystery of the Holy Spirit, and the action of the Holy Spirit in this world. So there is an analysis of enjoyment, and if you like, a philosophy underlying enjoyment. When we look at people who enjoy life, basically they're already pretty happy people. I mean, they have a certain optimum mood which is generally positive and good. Their idea of enjoyment is to elevate that mood still higher than it already is. So unto those who have will be given more, kind of thing. But you find that people who enjoy life, there's a number of characteristics about them. They're very adaptive. So if they can't have something on Monday, they'll wait until Wednesday, and they'll adapt their plans in order to maximise enjoyment in that sense. Although I suppose waiting till Wednesday rather than Monday is an example of flexibility. They're very flexible people. They tend to go with the flow. They tend to make plans and be quite happy to make other plans instead if the ones that they have made don't work out for some reason. And they'll accept the reasons why certain things can't happen, why other things can happen. They're very intuitive. They have innovation, inventiveness, resourcefulness as well. They're able to enjoy things, little things. They'll find enjoyment in whatever they have to hand, sort of thing. And they'll invent enjoyable situations and activities around anything they have to hand, actually. So they're not trying to get enjoyment from externals necessarily, because they recognise that from a little bit of external pleasure, you can get a great deal of internal joy, which is a great advice and a great intuition to have. They also keep it simple, and they enjoy things which have a simple immediacy about them, natural enjoyment and sort of natural, and also pertaining to a kind of natural ethic surrounding enjoyment as well. So they don't enjoy being complicated about life. And about filling their lives with complicated, thrill-seeking activities. They like to keep it simple. They're very decisive people. If there's a decision to make, if there's three options, they'll go for the third option and they'll enjoy that option. And they won't have any regrets. They won't say, I wish I'd chosen A or B instead. They'll just go with their decision and they'll enjoy the fruits of their decision. Even if those fruits are not as sweet as they expected, they'll still enjoy them. And they'll also, and this is very important, also appreciate other people's joy or another's joy. So, as far as sex is concerned, it's really all about sacrificing some of your own enjoyment in order to give pleasure to somebody else. Especially as far as men are concerned, with giving pleasure to women, you might have to sacrifice your own climax in order to inspire, I suppose, or stimulate a climax in your female partner. But it also goes for gay partners as well. They need to appreciate their partner's joy, sexual joy. So it's not just heterosexuals that have to be concerned about this. Gay couples have to be concerned about this as well, and which is a complex subject which we won't go into here. But a lot of gay couples actually don't. They're actually quite selfish in the way that they love their partner, generally speaking, as well. So it isn't just heterosexuals who have a problem with this. It's gays as well, unfortunately, especially people that are into the scene, into gay scene. So lastly, we would come to, and Netzach is always a very kind of difficult Sephirot to understand. It's a little bit was very dualistic, of course, and enjoyment is open to huge dualism and dualistic forces of pain and pleasure come into play, and some people enjoy being miserable, etc. But then, of course, you come into this thing about false enjoyment, to falsely enjoy. And what I mean by that, basically, is that until thinking about myself, is that I generally have a very low mood threshold. My optimum mood is very low. So I'm just trying to enjoy things in order to increase that mood to a level which other people take for granted, sort of thing. So if there's a collective optimum mood level, I'm just trying to reach that sort of generalized good moodness through enjoying through the pursuit of enjoyment. So enjoyment sort of has a inverted commas around it because it is false. If you're just enjoying things in order to elevate your mood, because your mood is very depressed, or you're trying to escape a depressed mood, or you're trying not to face up to realities of life, then enjoyment, if it can become toxic, obviously become addiction, abuse, obsession, and all the nasty stuff that we associate with enjoyment. Which, in fact, of course, puritanical people associate with enjoyment. They associate it with abuse, and with manipulation and exploitation and general wickedness. So, of course, to enjoy has a bad rap generally in religious circles, and it's better to abstain rather than indulge. We're told, and then there's another sort of philosophy that puts forward the idea that we have to enjoy life in a focused way, almost in a disciplined sort of way, so that we don't go out drinking every week to excess. We only drink to excess 8 times in the year, which is at the summer, winter solstices, equinoxes, and the fire festivals. And if we only do it 8 times a year, then we don't have to drink so much in order to get drunk. And when we do, it's in a sacred space, and it's for a sacred reason, which is to enjoy the wheel of the year at a particular point. And we enjoy different types of alcohol at different types of different times of the year, and you don't actually go to excess. So enjoyment isn't the same as excess or debauchery, for that matter, either. Although some people can make a sort of art out of debauchery, and they always come up smiling and smelling of roses, despite having been on the town. But I think those sort of people already have a basic good mood, and they go out on the town and they get a better mood as a result of doing drink and drugs. They're not trying to escape depression and misery and melancholy, which other people are doing when they go out on the town. So, motivation is very important when considering this idea of enjoy. You've got to enjoy for the right reasons and not the wrong reasons. And then, as I say, you've also got to analyze your enjoyment. Obviously, there is a set of things which people enjoy, which are totally unique to their personalities. But I think generally, keeping it simple is good. Enjoying quietude as well. You don't have to be doing something in order to be in a state of enjoyment. You can just enjoy doing nothing at all, just sitting and looking at a tree, which can be a source of great enjoyment and great spiritual power as well, I might add. So it's not all about doing; it's sometimes beingness. Sit sat ananda, bliss comes from beingness and stillness, as well as activity. And of course, also appreciating another person's joy is very important as well, and not being selfish about this. So, a certain amount of altruism comes in to appreciating another's joy, or even facilitating or initiating another's joy. And I think the appreciation of other people's joy, is very much in popular culture. When you think of celebrities. People like to read about celebrities having a great time, and of course they live vicariously through the good times that celebrities appear to have. I say appear because another quality of Netzach, of course, is that appearances can be deceiving, and your celebrity is out there seemingly having a great time and spending loads of money and being really hip and having loads of lovely pretty friends, but in actual fact they're just covering up for massive depression and psychological issues and boredom and obsessionism So as we all know, celebrities, can go out with a bang, and they when they fall harder than you or I fall from our enjoyment, because it is excessive enjoyment really, and motivated by a desire to escape their issues rather than face up to them. So Netzach has a sort of treacherous nature, a treacherous characteristic to it. It's sort of, but again, on the other hand, it's also has a very strong philosophical basis for it as well. To enjoy is a spiritual thing, but I think it has to have lots of qualifications attached to it, and the motivation for enjoyment has to be pure. So I'd say enjoy for the right reasons, in brackets, you know, and enjoy not excessively, but exquisitely, and with delicacy. So, be not animal with your desires, but be delicate and wear the world loosely, and wear your desires loosely, and sort of do it with style. Some people enjoy life, but they do it stylistically. Well, not stylistically. Well, perhaps they do, but also with style, with panache, without obsession, without holding on to things. They just enjoy things and they let them go, and they're kind of people that are already enjoying life as well. But the idea basically is that you also take a holiday, a holy day. So enjoyment is seen as a holy day. A day of enjoyment is a holy thing, and connects you to the spiritual life. But it's not really taking a holiday from yourself. You shouldn't be doing that, because you should be comfortable with yourself before you begin to enjoy life. So that's my little kind of brief analysis of Netzach, the seventh Sephirot on the Kabbalistic tree of life, with my affirmation enjoy. And, so perhaps this presentation didn't go as badly as I thought it would go, because I thought I really wouldn't have anything to say about the Sephirot, really. And I seem to have wound up saying quite a lot of things about enjoyment. And after all, of course, pleasure, we are hardwired to go towards pleasurable situations and activities and people, and avoid the unpleasantness of life. So where our sensory network is made up of specially adapted nerve endings, which actually detect enjoyment as such, or sensuality as such. So, it is an important subject, and the management, I think, of things that we enjoy, and the management of pleasure, is as important as the pleasure itself. But of course, one should not forget that pleasure is a raw thing, and a certain amount of pandemonium, of non-management is part of the whole algorithm of enjoyment. So it's a matter of balance between management of sensuality, and sensuality itself. That's what I'm basically saying. But a lot of the times, Netzach is not really associated, or at least it isn't associated in the tarot, with very balanced situations. But I think that is a bit of a superficial analysis, really. And the spiritual life, of course, itself, the contemplative life, the life of meditation, can be a source of incredible joy, enjoyment, and should be. And it shouldn't be austere, and stern, and dark, and life denying. As it says in the Tantra, I will not hurt my body with austerities. And of course, it also says at the end, I will take refuge at the lotus feet of the goddess. which of course lotus implies enjoyment, it implies love, sensuality. I'll take refuge in the beauty of the goddess, in the enjoyment of her scented feet, because of course you're doing prostration before the goddess. In Hinduism, you do prostration, full prostration on the ground before the sculpture of the god, as indeed you do in Catholicism, by the way. You actually put yourself on the ground and make the form of the cross on the floor of the church before the crucifix. And there is a certain amount of enjoyment in prostration. There's a certain amount of enjoyment in surrender to the will of the God as well. So submission to God can be a source of enjoyment. In fact, perhaps a better source of enjoyment, a more balanced source of enjoyment than simply, being concerned with external pleasure rather than an internal pleasure. Because at the end of the day, of course, you can take two people, one of these people is very sensitive to enjoyment, and you can give them something very simple, and they enjoy it greatly. Whereas a person who isn't very sensitive to enjoyment will quickly bore of the simple thing that you give them, which is supposed to give them enjoyment. So, and these people need excess in order to enjoy anything, and that seems to me to be the source of toxicity in one's life, rather than of benefit. But certainly in joy, I would say that's a valid affirmation to make to yourself and to other people.